this class today, Dr. Ascot. Yeah, good morning, everyone. To start this event today, I hope we have a good mood, and for this event, we'll go smoothly. I will introduce our speaker today. First, we have Dr. Ascot Maluwa from the ME St. John's the Baptist University in Malawi for this class today. Yeah, and I hope this event will be enjoyable and worthy of knowledge. Yeah, and for session, this event we will listening presentation from Dr. Ascot Maluwa and continue with Q&A session and take a picture for documentation. Yeah, maybe for Dr. Ascot Maluwa, yeah, you can handle for this session today. First, thank you. Your voice still mute, sir. Wait. Just a moment, please. Pardon, sir? Your voice still mute. Oh, yeah. You can share screen for PPT and start for this class, sir.
Okay. Welcome, team. As already been said, my name is Ascot Maluwa, a senior lecturer at the St. John the Baptist University, Malawi. I'll be presenting on a topic titled Economic versus Financial Performance Metrics, Stakeholders' Perspective. Economic versus Financial Performance Metrics, Stakeholders' Perspective. I start with the abstract. The traditional view of a firm is that firms exist for the benefit of its owners or shareholders, and that the employees are merely used to enable the process of maximizing shareholders' wealth. This is the basis of corporate finance theory. Could the traditional view be challenged? Could it perhaps be overthrown? This paper discusses the ethical possibility of overthrowing the traditional view of the firm. The paper draws its strength from the economic theory of a firm and the stakeholder concept. In the financial theory of the firm, firms exist largely for the benefit of its owners. To this end, managers employed by the firm work towards maximizing the owner's wealth. As long as profits are increased from year to year, the financial position of the owners increases as well. The wealth is hopefully reflected in the market price of stock, if the stock is publicly traded. Otherwise, there's a recorded increase in the net assets of the firm. The increase in wealth is traditionally quantified by using accounting metrics. However, the theory of accounting is based on certain axioms or assumptions that simplifies and standardizes the accounting process. Whilst the metrics may satisfy the purposes of an accounting system, they are largely indicative in nature. This is not a bad thing in itself, although more accurate metrics could be welcome. In the economic theory of the firm is treated of land seamlessly in the process of production without any form of suggested hierarchy. Various stakeholders are responsible for the factors of production, including shareholders and employees. In measuring the economic performance of the firm, benefits accruing to the stakeholders should be highlighted. Increase in economic value of the firm should reflect the increase in the wealth of the stakeholders. Accounting profits are a traditional measure of increase in the value of the firm. Value of the firm is maximized when the accounting profits are maximized. To maximize accounting profits, revenue must be maximized whilst costs are minimized. Profit is the primary measure of the firm's performance. Margin and return performance metrics are derived from the profit figure or amount. The metrics may not mean much to an ordinary shareholder unless are presented in a more friendly format. Ordinary shareholders would not understand better measures in monetary terms rather than measures in ratios and percentages. The traditional understanding that the firm exists for the sole benefit of its shareholders is somehow frivolous, as it ignores the existence of other stakeholders. A firm is not self-executing and does not operate in a vacuum. The firm requires customers, suppliers, employees, and the environment interacting dynamically in order to create value. The value so created cannot benefit the shareholders, suppliers of risk capital alone, but rather all stakeholders. Hence, the firm should be perceived from stakeholders' perspective rather than the traditional shareholder perspective. Now, I look at the accounting measure of financial performance and what I call the narrow view. The accounting measure of financial performance, the narrow view. The author, this presenter, regards the traditional view of the firm where performance is only directed towards the enhancement of shareholder wealth as the narrow view. The alternative view of the firm is the stakeholders' view. The accounting measure used to gauge financial performance of a firm is the return on capital employed, ROCE, or its variance. It is found by dividing net income from the period by capital used to derive that income. It is usually stated in percentage terms like 15%, 20%, or any other percentage rate. It simply emphasizes the productivity of capital rather than the percentage increase in wealth for the period as envisaged by corporate finance theory. The most celebrated metric for the firm's performance, financial performance, is the economic value added, EVA. According to Ascot 2014, basic formula for EVA, first proposed by Stein and Stewart Corporation, is given as EVA is equal to net operating profits after tax times minus capital employed times cost of capital, where capital employed is capital invested by debt holders and equity holders. Cost of capital is the weighted average of the cost of debt and cost of equity, of course, the cost of debt after tax. Capital employed could have been invested elsewhere to generate a market return. If EVA or EVA is positive, then the shareholders have gained economic value over the period. Otherwise, they have not gained or have lost economic value. According to the HAT 2008, as reported by Ascot 2014, EVA or AVA in terms of financial performance is considered as a true bottom line, taking into account full cost of capital for determining residual income that is also known as economic profit. The cost of capital in EVA is of course defined mathematically by the expression that you can see on the screen. WACC, that is work, is equal to weighted cost of debt and weighted cost of equity. So in the expression, we have K subscript D being pre-tax cost of debt, and K subscript E being cost of equity as derived from capital asset pricing model, and T, the firm's marginal tax rate, and D subscript S is debt in the capital structure, and E subscript S is equity in the capital structure. Of course, that formula ignores preferred stock. But if you include the preferred stock, the formula add that component of preferred stock, which is now made up of three components: the component of debt, the component of preferred stock, and the component of equity. So that would be the formula for the computation of the weighted average cost of capital. The cost of equity is derived from the capital asset pricing model, and the capital asset pricing model states that the expected return on equity, that's E in brackets R subscript I, this is the sum of the risk-free rate of interest, R subscript F, and a premium for bearing market risk. That is beta I, and in brackets, the difference between the expected market return and the free rate return. So the formula for the capital asset pricing model is given as shown on the screen as the E in brackets RI is equal to RF, which is a risk-free rate, plus BI, which is beta, and in brackets, the expected return of the market minus the risk-free return. So we can break up the formula and highlight what each component measures. As is shown on the screen there, it's quite clear. The cost of debt normally is obtained from the possible two sources. You can use the method of yield to maturity approach, whereby you calculate the yield to maturity on the company's current debt, or another method would be debt rating approach by using yields on a comparably rated bonds with maturity similar to those that the company has outstanding. The cost of preferred stock, that is non-callable and non-convertible, is based on the perpetuity formula, as is shown on the screen there, that the price is equal to the dividends divided by the market return. Now I switch on to what is called refined economic value added, REVA. Refined economic value added is an improvement over EVA in that the market values of equity and the debt are used in the formula instead of the book values as used in EVA, according to TACO 1997. REVA represents the value added to the wealth of the shareholders. This RVA can be manipulated further to find the value added per share if we wish. Each shareholder will therefore be able to compute overall individual value added. At a glance, one may argue that VAPS is similar to earnings per share. The shortfall in the earnings per share is the fact that it only includes equity in the computation. It ignores the debt component. So I would regard, if it were possible, to use the VAPS as a better metric. An important point to note is that accounting measures of financial performance are relevant to the firm as viewed from the perspective of a financial system. A financial system comprises financial activities. The measures reflect how well the enterprise performed its financial activities during the period under review. So, what follows is just a demonstration or an explanation or the highlight of what we mean by financial activities. In a financial system, we have financial activities, and the diagram on the picture there shows what financial activities are, like issuing bonds, issuing initial IPOs, issuing shares, borrowing money, debt repayments, rebuying shares, lending money are examples of financial activities. If the firm is viewed from the stakeholder's perspective, it becomes an economic entity. In this regard, economic metrics are relevant to gauge the performance of the firm during the period under review. A shareholder, in his capacity of providing risk capital to the firm, is engaging in an economic activity and will therefore expect economic returns and not financial returns. And the diagram there also shows what economic activities are, as compared with the financial activities. Economic activities include selling, buying, distributing goods, making something to then sell. And one that stands out importantly is working for money, wages, is also to the employee an economic activity. The University of Toronto's Department of Economics gives the following definition of an economic activity. It is an economic activity is the process by which the stock of resources, stock of capital produces a flow of output of goods and services that people utilize in partial satisfaction of their unlimited wants. This process involves not only the production of goods and services, but their distribution among the various members of the community. Now I turn to my attention to the economic measure of firm's performance, the stakeholders' perspective. The stakeholders' perspective, whilst the REVA or REVA is celebrated as the best measure of economic performance so far, its applicability has been based on the narrow view of the firm. It is a fact that the firm has various stakeholders with varying interests in terms of benefits. The firm is supported by financial capital, human capital, and other forms of capital. One is tempted to think that EVA should be computed for all stakeholders to the firm. For instance, in the case of employees, they're getting involved in the firm to provide services in return for salaries and wages, they are engaging in an economic activity. One would be interested to find the measure of their economic returns. An employee, as a stakeholder, should feature prominently on the face of the income statement, not merely as an item of expense, but as part of the bottom line as a stakeholder. From a stakeholder perspective, an employee should not be regarded as a burden to the shareholder as reflected by the income statement. He should be regarded as a partner to the shareholder as stakeholders in the economic activities of the firm. New presentation style of salaries and wages on the face of the income statement could be devised to reflect the true state of the employee in the firm. Also, we have statements like earnings attributable to the ordinary shareholders. A following entry could read, employees' cash receipts after payee. This would prop up the position of the employee in the firm. Important statistics could then be derived to measure the worth of their economic rewards. Sometimes employees get exploited for the benefit of their shareholders or overpaid at the expense of the shareholders. Even among the employees themselves, skewed distributions of salaries and benefits could be analyzed, and if need be reconstituted to bring economic sanity among the working folks. In measuring the economic returns to the employees, a leaf could be borrowed from the idea of REVA, R-E-V-A. All economic performance measures make use of opportunity cost. Employees' cash receipts after payee should be measured against the benefit foregone for not rendering their services to the next best alternative to arrive at the economic value added to employees, what I've called EVATE, economic value added to employees. When EVA or economic value added to employees is positive, then the employees gained economically during the period. Otherwise, there would be no economic gain during this period if they're equal or there's economic loss if negative. The benefits of economic value added to employees is that it will bring out a clear comparison or competition with the revised economic value added that is attributable to ordinary shareholders. A new science or a philosophy based on the revised economic value added and the economic value added to employees would be born. The theory of principal-agent relationship between shareholders and employees would be discarded in favor of the theory of shareholders' partnership between shareholders and employees. In conclusion, this brief paper has discussed the firm as both a financial system and an economic system. It has shown that the current financial metrics are adequate if they are merely applied to the firm for its own sake. If the metrics are to extend to various stakeholders, then they are somewhat limited in their significance. In this case, the firm should be viewed as an economic system for the benefit of its stakeholders. As an economic system, relevant metrics are suggested for the benefit of both the stakeholders, for the stakeholder, not just for shareholders alone. In fact, economic value added or revised economic value added and the economic value added to employees would be the metrics that would benefit the two stakeholders significantly. Thank you very much for your attention. I've come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you for Dr. Ascot. Maybe for our audience, if you wanna ask question, you can chat in the chat or you can raise your hand. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Any questions? Still waiting for questions?
Maybe we can, just a moment, please, sir.
Okay,
We can wait for 5 minutes again.
okay.
Thank you. Wait. Okay, sure. Maybe we don't have no more question.
Hello?
You can hear my voice.
Sure, certainly, I can.
Yeah, maybe I think we don't have a question from our audience.
Okay.
Yeah, apologize before. Oh, yeah. I guess no one else asking. Can I continue the session for closing, sir?
Okay.
I maybe there is something to say before I close this event.
On my part,
Pardon?
you say, do you have anything to say before you close?
Oh, yeah. I will say something first.
Okay.
Finally we come to the end of maybe visiting lecture today. So unfortunately, we already way over the time until 2 2:30 p.m. in Indonesian time and also 9:30 p.m. in Malawi time. So sadly, and we would like to say thanks again for Dr. Ascot Maluwa. Yeah, for their information will be beneficial for our audience, and I hope we can meet again at other event.
Thank you.
Thank you for Dr. Ascot Maluwa. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. In today, I hope we can. Oh yeah, can I take picture for documentation, sir?
Is it taking a picture? No problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just a
Sure.
moment, please. I will prepare for this at the spotlight. Yeah, I will say 1, 2, 3. Yeah, thank you, sir. And Mrs. for don't have no questions. Yeah, thank you for Dr. Ascot Maluwa for coming to session.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope we can meet again in other event in future. Yeah, thank you for
Th-
Dr. Ascot. Yeah,
Thanks very much. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you and welcome.
thank you so much.